Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Airgun World Podcast, brought to you in association with Crackshot, the Southwest Premier Airgun Centre and Ranges. I'm Dave Barham, and joining me on the show tonight, we've got my ever-faithful co-presenter, Mr. Terry Doe. Terry, how are you, my friend?
Absolutely marvellous, mate. Looking forward to a day's fishing tomorrow. Been doing a bit of shooting today, so yeah, retirement's still magnificent. I highly recommend it.
Top job, top job. Now, joining us on the show this evening, we have got one of the biggest names in field target shooting. It is none other than Mr. Doz Falconer. Doz, how are you, mate?
Very tired. I'm ready to go to sleep, I can tell you. But I'm all good. Thanks for asking.
I've got a load of questions to ask you, mate. Now, for those who don't know, like I say, Doz has been very prominent in the field target shooting, competition shooting scene for a long time, longer than he cares to remember, probably. But a couple of weekends ago, we had the European Field Target Championship held in Wales. Now, Doz, I believe that you and a select few of your minions basically set the whole thing up. And, you know, this is a massive event, isn't it?
Yeah, it was very big. Basically, myself and Jack Harris, well, I've got to blame Jack Harris for it. He talked me into it on having a few beers one evening. He thought it sounded like a really good idea, but it really wasn't a good idea. I got to be fair. Yeah, he talked me into it. So yeah, we thought about a year ago while we were out in Bulgaria shooting that we could do it. We run the World Championships in 2017. And Jack really wasn't much of a part of it then. He just helped us. But he really fancied getting into this one and having a go at it all. So I promised then I would never do another one. And here I am doing another one. But that's how it goes, you know.
The European Championships, I mean, like I say, I don't profess to know much about field target shooting, okay? I as a magazine editor, I rely on Mark Camosio for all that sort of side of things. But I took a quick look on Facebook over the weekend because I was interested in, who was competing and who was winning, etc. Let me just rattle off for the viewers, listeners out there, just to sort of put it into perspective of how much of a monumental effort and event this is. Apart from the home nations, of course, this is just some of the countries. You've got Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Denmark, Estonia, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Italy, Malta, Netherlands, Norway, Poland, Portugal, Spain, Sweden, Turkey. And that's without, England, Ireland, Northern Ireland, Wales, Scotland. That is one hell of a lineup of international shooters all coming to Wales. They're all flying from different airports, I presume, into Heathrow. How the hell do you organise that side of things?
Well, we offer a competition, and we don't really care how we get you. No,
right.
It was complicated. I got to be fair. I'm pretty fortunate that we travel a lot around the world doing field targets, so I've got an understanding of how that works and the problems we get at the airports and travelling with airguns through customs and stuff like that. So we put on our website a welcome pack for everyone, which for the people that were coming and only the people that were coming, how you get through customs, all the information that you really needed, you know what I mean? And just stuff like that. So it's a long-winded process, and I'm not going to bore everyone with that, let me tell you. But if somebody does want to know how it all works, please drop us an email or something and we'll talk you through that way,
Obviously, there's a lot of preparation before the competitors even turn up, isn't there? I mean, you lay the courses out. Do you lay them out, or do you have someone else to do that for you?
You got to be joking. Of course we did. Jack, that was one of the things that Jack Harris wanted to do, which I could kill him for. Because I may not look it, I know, but I am getting on a little bit these days. And dragging my lovely Welsh backside up and down these mountains has absolutely killed me. Basically, the two of us took it on. Jack ran the competition, the courses, the labouring and all that type of stuff. So about 5 or 6 guys altogether that were there most weekends. And I run sort of not the business side, but that's not the right word for it, but the accounts then and excuse me, the organisation behind the scenes, you know what I mean? So it's taken a few hundred man hours, I can tell you.
And I suppose what people don't realise is, of course, is that, you can set it all up. You can have all the time in the world to set it up. And then after the event, it's all got to be taken down again as well, isn't it?
Yep, that was when Terry rang me and asked me to join this conversation this morning. That's what I was doing. I was huffing and puffing, running up and down a Welsh hillside, which is, I'm sure there's a few Welsh jokes you could throw into that conversation. Right, to give you some context then. Bulgaria was last September. We found the ground that we could shoot on by January. No, sorry, I'm lying, October. We did a lot of work on the ground through the winter months because nature was on our side. And pretty much it's taken us 4 to 5 months to set up the 3 courses. We're cutting the grass, cutting into the forest and the trees, clearing the ground, because it was just an old woodland that had never really been used for a lot. So there's a lot of dead forestry, dead trees and twigs and stuff like that had to be cleared out of there. And all that type of stuff. So it's taken months and months to actually set it up. The last 3 weeks, Jack's taken off work and put 2 solid weeks of work into this. Myself, then, in between my shift pattern, I've been going up every day, which my wife has absolutely loved. And fairness to Susan, it's more of a family thing. Everybody's been involved. So Jack's wife, Susan, my wife, helped us do the stats and stuff and all that type of stuff. So it's taken, honestly, hundreds and hundreds of hours. Now, the pull down of this event will probably take at least a week. And when you think you're only taking targets out of a tree and chucking them in a wheelbarrow, it's still going to take 7 to 8 days.
That's an immense, mammoth task, isn't it? So hats off to you, mate, and the rest of the team that's involved behind the scenes. I mean, it's obviously it was a fantastic event. I did follow it on Facebook. But, we just talked about how much is involved in setting this thing up, everything that goes on behind the scenes. But you compete as well, don't you, as well as Jack? How the hell do you switch off from all that organising to competing at such a high level? Because there's got to be stuff, there's going to be problems, and like the French team have lost their guns, or, the Bulgarians have fiddled with the Belgians' pellets. There's got to be stuff going on in the background while you're actually on the range competing. Yeah, you're right. Right. So I'll give you some ideas then. Most competitions, you get there early, you check the guns on the zero range. I've always said a field target rifle is like taking your nan away for the weekend. It's like, are you too warm? Are you too cold? You look after these guns like little babies. But that didn't happen at all this weekend. It was basically get there, get the gun out the car, 10 shots on the zero range onto the course. That was it. There was no hours of practicing or nothing like that. To be fair, for Jack and myself, who competed in this event, it was, well, I can only speak for myself on this. The actual shooting was a blessing because it was a switch off from the event. You know what I mean? You just sort of change your mindset and off you go to shoot. And luckily, we had a team of people behind us that when we were shooting, there was Chief Marshals, Neil Rogers, who was a field target shooter himself, and a couple of other guys. They took over the role, and they were the people that any questions were directed to them. You know what I mean? So everyone kind of left us alone. And besides that, I can swear in lots of foreign languages. So they did leave us alone because they were pretty sure that I wasn't happy with them picking on me when I was shooting. But yeah, apart from a few little errors, little niggles when we were shooting, they just left us be. So, and off we went and competed. Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me. I was sort of asking myself the question of how the hell do you switch off from organising something like that? But I mean, you just nailed it. It's time off for you. It's why most of us go shooting. It's why most of us go to the range on our own. If just to switch off and enjoy ourselves and focus on what we're doing. So, yeah, nice one. Excellent.
Well done, mate. Well done. To my absolute horror, I've just checked my calendar, and it was 30 years ago that I won the Europeans at Weston Park. 30 years ago, and then I wasn't even going to shoot. I was putting on a huge trade exhibition for the trade, at which almost sort of morphed into HFT. It was like sporting air rifle thing where we had sporting targets, and it was literally 10 feet away from the Europeans. And Stuart Lane, who I think was probably world champion then, Stuart Lane came and got me and said, "You've not shot yet." I said, "No, I'm not going to bother." He said, "We're the last 2 through. I've got to have somebody to mark my card." I said, "Oh," and I put the GC2 over the chrono, and it was doing 10.3. He said, "Come on, you can adjust that." I can't be messed with it. And I was 36 targets in and clear. he dropped 3. I was just flying. I was just getting over it, just focusing, bang. I don't know if you ever shot in the woods at Western, Doz. That gets awful dark towards those last lanes. Quickly. I had a 3-target lead after the first round, and now it's all serious. Now I've got to take it serious the next day. It ruined everything for me. I didn't enjoy it at all. But no, it's getting under, having that amount of pressure of organising everything. That you're right, it is a break to actually direct your mind down that scope and take a few targets on, rather than worrying about the logistics of a massive competition like you're doing. But what I'd really like the viewers to appreciate is Dorian here and Jack. These are some of the best in the world at what they do, competition-wise. Never mind about the organisation. This is like Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy at their peak, being asked, look, I know you're going to play around, guys, but can you organise the British Open before you play it? People should really understand that within this wonderful sport of field target shooting, everything comes from the competitors and the club members and the committees and the volunteers. It's an entirely self-contained sport. You don't rock up to a venue. We haven't got football stadiums. We got woods and fields and stuff we make ourselves and work for days and weeks. And as Doz has just said, months of graft in the rain, in the scorching sun, in the freezing cold to put on a 3-day competition, and so that everybody can go away on a Sunday night after they've all shot and had a great time, and your work starts that night and the next day again. You've got to go and return it all to the landowner as it was. It's an absolute tribute to these boys, and they don't receive enough. I'm not just saying it because he's here, but all of them who do it, all of the behind the scenes guys, I can't give them enough praise. They're absolutely brilliant. They're what keeps the sport alive.
One of the comments Terry just made there about West shooting in Weston Park. We took the courses from Weston Park as an influence for this event. If you can pick up some of the videos we've sent, we got some drone footage and stuff. One of the biggest problems shooting in Weston Park was you were out in a field shooting into dark woods, and that played hell with your sight and your eyesight and finding the targets. So the field, when we walked around the fields, quite a lot of it looked like that, and we were like, oh, we've got to do this, knowing full well that a lot of the competitors wouldn't have ever shot in them environments before. So that worked really well this weekend. A lot of people struggled, and that's the challenge, is making a competition course laid out, because you've shot every target that you can put out once or twice in your lifetime before. So it's making those little tweaks and those little changes that will challenge the better shots, and that's the game of field target these days. It's not making every course the same. It's not a drum beat. You've got to just change it up a little bit. The only way to do that is change with angles, uphills, downhills, light conditions, and we had sunny weather in Wales, and that threw us as well. So it's all of that comes into play with it.
Yeah, one of the major points on that Europeans in '94. As I say, I was 3 shots up. I was 3 points up going into the second round. By the third lane, I'd lost all 3 of my lead. I'd lost the lot. A couple of standards I messed up. And as it got darker, because we were the last 3 to shoot, because we were leading, obviously we go last. As we got into the woods, I swear you could barely see the targets, but everyone else was focal range finding. And I knew that if I dropped my Leupold down to 14.5, it was the same reticle size as my old Zeiss used to be on 9 mag when I bracketed the kill with the reticle. And that, and only that, is what won me that European. I could bracket. Everybody was going, they were reading targets from 36 to 48 yards because of the lack of light. And they were really straining their eyes to try and make it out, which was messing it up even more. Well, I dropped magnification. That let more light in, so that brightened my sight picture up a treat. So I was shooting on 35, and I dropped it to 14.5, and that brought the reticle down, because it's in the first focal plane. That brought it down to exactly the same size as my Zeiss used to be on 9, except with 14.5, I had a bit more precision, and I cleared the last 6 lanes. And everyone else, I think I won it 3 clear again. I got my 3 back. But that was only because, as Doz just said, I had to adapt and overcome. And if I'd have had to stick with focal range finding, I might as well have been range finding by looking over the scope, quite frankly, because it was nearly black. And also, we got accosted by a drunken man on the way through who wanted to fight two of us. I swear it's true. And I don't know if you ever knew Kaup's brother, AJ. Did you ever know him? His younger brother, Doz.
Oh, yeah.
Did you ever know him?
Yeah.
He was a robust fellow.
Yeah, quite well, actually. Yeah, I knew him.
Yeah. He was a robust fellow, and he was giving us a hard time. And it was either him or I would have to deal with this chap. And thank God it was AJ that took him away and counselled him. And then we went on to finish the European title. I'm sure nothing like that would happen in your wonderfully organised thing, but it did, because it was on the side of a game fair, wasn't it? We had drunken people wandering down the road toward the car park, coming right 10 feet away from us, which was by our design, because we wanted them to see how wonderful we were and all this techno stuff. Well, at the end of the day, on the last day, you got a load of drunkards wandering past you, which in hindsight wasn't the best. But again, I can only say, having been involved in organising stuff and shoots, not at your level, but it is the epitome of the iceberg. There's a little bit on the top, and there's 75% of it floating about where you can't see, and that's what makes or breaks it all. And from the reports I'm getting back, well done.
You were saying with your scope there, where you turn the magnification down, that just comes from the hundreds and hundreds of hours you've got to put into FT to get to the top. And the guys that practice and win these events from all over Europe put hundreds of hours into this. It takes up so much of your time. You got to thank the wives and the families behind you for supporting you and letting you go off and do this passion that you have, because it is a passion. It is almost a drug. You're addicted to the bloody thing. But
it's an obsession.
It is. It's the same with all hobbies. With all hobbies, the same.
Taking this from a complete novice's perspective, as I am, complete field target virgin. Apologies for swearing, but I've just been listening to both of you guys talking about adjusting the scope. So I've done a little bit of HFT. Where you're not allowed to touch the scope.
Okay.
So, Doz, can you explain to me and everybody listening and watching this the basic rules for anyone who wanted to get into field target competition shooting at whatever level, club level to begin with, say? What are the rules, and how far are the targets set out? What are the diameters of the kill zones, etc.?
Okay, there's some basic rules. We shoot from 10 yards to 55 yards, or you can work that out in meters. The kill zones vary from 15 mil up to 20 yards, I think it is. You can have a 25 mil kill zone to up to 35 yards, and a 40 mil kill zone up to 55 yards. Basically, if you're even thinking of doing FT, go along to a club and have a try of it. Don't just look at a video and go in your back garden and have a try. Just go down your local air rifle club and see what they're doing. There's plenty. Look on the BFTA website. There's plenty of places that can help you out to have a go at FT, and that's the best way to do it. Go along to a club, have a little try. But I'm warning you now, you get addicted. I'm telling you now, it's addictive.
It does sound a little bit more involved than HFT, from what I've read from Mark Camosio's scribblings. And what I've been listening to you guys saying. Would you agree with that?
All I'll say is that if you take I always used to use the example of tiddlywinks. There were some blokes in my local pub that would do tiddlywinks and shove halfpenny to a ridiculous degree, rowing with the missus because they're coming down to practice for the shove halfpenny team. Darts isn't technical at all. Darts is the equipment wise nothing, but you can take it to any level you like. Anything can. Dave, I've only got to tell you about fishing. People have lost marriages over fishing. People have abandoned they didn't see their kids grow up over fishing. It's the same with FT. FT, I'd say, is a bit more technical than HFT because of the scope reliance. The scope reliance, that's your rangefinder. So, where it isn't in HFT, but the rifles they're using are every bit as high tech as the FT boys are. But again, it's what level you want to take it to, and that's one of the greatest things. Over to you, Doz.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, like I said, to me, they're the same but slightly different. You can compete at FT with the most basic air rifle, from spring guns to S400s to whatever, and the same in HFT. It's like all things in life. There's Robins and Rolls Royces. You can if you've got the money, you may go, and you love it that much, you will go and spend. And there's a little bit of pride of ownership as well, like, you know. I mean, there's nothing like missing a target with £10,000 worth of air rifle. But, you know, that's the reality of it. It is though, isn't it? I mean, there's a pride of ownership in it. But you don't need that equipment. You know, you don't need that type of equipment in HFT or FT to compete at the level. And you'd be a fool isn't the right word, but I hope you understand what I'm saying. You would be silly to go and spend that type of money at the beginning until you've learned the sport. You know, why would you do? You couldn't jump in a Formula One car and expect to drive it. You'd probably bloody kill yourself by the time you got to the bottom of the street. But that's the reality of it. You need to go to the club, learn what you're doing, get into it. Like fishing, get that. Once you're hooked, you are hooked, and you'll progress. And there's within FT, there's leagues or there's grades A, B, C, and AA. And obviously, it's like a football league. The more you progress, you climb up the ladders, climb up the leagues, and before you know it, you're competing at national and international levels.
Excellent stuff. Well, that's some great advice. Great advice. Yeah, I mean, clubs for any type of shooting, whether you want to shoot FT, HFT, you want to go out hunting, joining a club to begin with, and meeting other shooters, talking to them, using their gear, having a few shots with their gear. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's definitely the way forwards. Absolutely. So, competing at the level that you're competing at, Doz, you know, you've been doing it a very long time. Do you still train as hard as you used to when you were coming up the ranks, so to speak? What's your training routine for an event like the Europeans?
No, I've got to be honest. When I first got into this, oh God, I was out there. Whenever I could grab a gun, I was out. I really was. I'm a little bit older. I know you can't tell. I know, but I'm getting a little bit older. I got family. We have other lives and stuff like that. So I've got other things I got to do. But I tried to get out as much to my wife's hate. I probably get out twice a week and put in probably 5-10 hours. Well, as much as I can. I got to be fair. And with my training, it's not just the shooting. It's a camaraderie. I go up to the club with the guys. We have a good laugh. Sometimes I just go up and have a cup of tea with them. And it's just my escapism. You know what I mean? And then as we're rolling up to the shooting season, you put a lot more hours in and stuff like that. And away you go, like, you know. And if I start shooting badly, then I put a lot of hours in.
The camaraderie thing is huge, massive. I went up our club at Bisley a couple of weeks back. I thought it opens at 6:30 or 7 o'clock in the morning. So I thought, right, I got a ton of stuff to do. I'll get in and get out. I won't hang around. I get there. There's 4 of the lads down there training. 4 of the FT boys. They're training. You know, Cliff Church, Doz, one of the nicest human beings on this earth, Cliff Church. Couple of the boys, and they're training before they go to a competition, and everyone's having a laugh, taking them. You've got to be able to take some banter. I'll tell you that. That's one thing I would advise. If you can't take the mickey taking, this is not the sport for you, because it can be cruel, but all good natured. And these guys with like thousands and thousands of pounds worth of gear, I've yet to see one. If someone says, look, let that guy have a go at that, will you? Let him have a go with your gun. They just hand it over, and people can sit there and they're really proud to show people what the things can do, what their guns do, and all that sort of stuff. They're that helpful. It's fantastic. It is a fantastic sport. It really is.
From my experience, that's just general throughout the world of air gunning, isn't it? You don't have to be a field target shooter. You don't have to be an HFT shooter. If you just go down your local club plinking on a Sunday morning, my word, it's just banter permanently. I think that's the great thing about our sport, isn't it?
Our air rifle, Nelson Air Rifle Club, over 80% of the boys in the club don't compete at all. They just go up there to plink, sit in the zero range. They have a great time. They do their own thing. We do a little bit of bench rest shooting up there, which is growing quite quickly as well. There's a lot of that goes on. The FT boys and the HFT guys, the competitive guys, then for want of a better word, there's only a few of them, but they've come through that. You know, they've gone up the club, started shooting, seen the boys doing the competition side, and got into it slowly but surely. You know, they do. Everyone's always nervous of the very first competition, you know, because nobody wants to, I look stupid and stuff like that. But once they start, most of the time, that's them hooked, like, you know, and off they go, like. But most of the guys in the club are not competition competitive.
It's exactly like that. Most of them, You get certain days when the Silver Surfers go down there. You've got the retired guys down there. They got some serious kit as well because they got a bit of spendable, you know. And they go down there and but the banter's at no lesser level. In fact, it's probably crueler, I would say. But yeah, and there's about 10% maybe 15% are hardcore competition boys. But we've got vintage competitions that go on. We've got pistol competitions. Anything you can have fun with that's legal and safe with an air gun, you'll do it at a club, and it's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful.
So I noticed from some of the pictures on Facebook over the weekend that Claire West from Air Arms was there. Now, you're obviously a consultant for Air Arms and part of the Air Arms team, aren't you, Doz?
Yes, yeah, I am. I've known Claire and I've been part of the Air Arms team now for probably 10 years or more. I know Claire very well. Thanks to Air Arms now, they're very big sponsors and they help great with FT and stuff like that. To be fair, in some respects, you were like a killer, the same as bloody Jack, because Jack talked me into doing this event. And I said, mate, we can't put the hours into this. And he was like, yeah, we can. And he was like, what reasons can't we? I said, well, we need some money to start up. You know, until people book into this event, we've got to rent a ground, we've got to do things before you can get people to book in and pay their money for these events. And Claire was sitting by the side of us and she went, oh, I can help you. I'll underwrite it for you if you want to. So I was like, I can't get out of this. No, there was just no way of me getting out and not doing this event. But so Claire's a very, very big part in the field target world. She runs a big field target team and HFT team as well. So yeah, thanks for this. Without their support, I think a lot of our competitions wouldn't be so good. And she put on a massive first prize. Well, she gave us a massive prize. What we try and do is let the winner choose the prize that they want. And for this event, she gave us a XTI 50 with a gold-plated barrel, which was, something very special.
Yeah, that's above and beyond, isn't it? Really, I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah,
I think our producer Joe is going to flash up a list of the sponsors of the recent Europeans because it's great to see some of the names on there, including Air Arms as well. Which brings me nicely onto the current issue of the magazine. So I'm going to ask you about this in a minute, Doz. If you head on over to www.airgun-world.com, you can subscribe to the mag. I'll pop a link down below in the description, but we've got a free gift on offer at the moment, which is a PAO Reflex sight. And also with the subscription, you get BASA insurance included. And I think you'll both agree, gentlemen, that insurance, no matter what sort of shooting you do, is an essential thing to have. Yeah, whether you're competition shooting or hunting or just plinking in your back garden, having that insurance, which comes included in a subscription, is you definitely need that. So I know you're used to shooting very expensive rifles and scopes and stuff, the sort of thing you could buy a car with, but I've just reviewed the Pressy Hole Achilles. Obviously, it's the Indian connection. Have you seen one of those yet, Doz?
Yes, yeah. Like I said, we got a good relationship with Claire, so we test a lot of stuff for her. So yeah, we've tried a few of them. The pistols and stuff that are coming in are fantastic, by the way. They're great fun. We've seen a lot of them. We went over to the EOA show in Germany. That's where we tried to get some of our sponsorship this year. And they had them all on display there. So we've seen that. And obviously in the last month or two, we've been over to the Air Arms facility and seen them, coming in and stuff like that and being packaged and stuff there. They are quite an impressive bit of kit, like.
Absolutely. I was absolutely blown away with that particular Achilles rifle. I know Terry, in a couple of issues previous, he had a Minotaur, the little bullpup, which I'm still waiting to get my hands on, because when I first saw him at the British Shooting Show, it's like, that's the one I want. It weighs nothing, does it? But yeah, accurate as you like. The build quality is superb. I can completely understand why Claire has been working with the guys over there in India for the last 3 years to make all this sort of come to fruition. Like she said, we had Claire on, a couple of episodes ago. She doesn't do things by halves, and I understand she's employed a load more people in the business. And it's up and up and up. It's such a great thing to see and to hear within the industry that she's. I don't think there's anyone else in the industry, with maybe the exception of Tony Belas at Daystate Brocock. I don't think there's many people who are more proactive than Claire West, not just in terms of the sponsorship and stuff that she offers, because it's not just Field Target and HFT, is it? It's it's loads of other events that she sponsors as well. But yeah, no, it's great. It's great
Claire,
to see.
Claire could be summed up by the word commitment. Commitment is what describes Claire. She is totally committed. She's got a vision for where she wants that company to be, and everybody needs to get on board with it who works with her. She's an absolute pleasure to work with. Scary as hell when she's got the bit between her teeth. She's a force of nature, Claire is. Oh man, I knew her when she was a kid. Really, she came into the company as the accountant, and I was very good friends with her dad and Bill, the manager, who's both of them we sadly lost. But no, she's got that company in her blood. She's got a real vision of where she wants it to be, and if it's remotely possible, humanly possible, she's the human to do it. Believe me, she is. And I'm lucky enough to do testing for Air Arms and other companies. I do it for anyone who asks me, basically. But those little pressy hole guns, they just make a nonsense of the price tag as far as performance goes. I could show you targets now. I'm so sad. I still keep my best targets. I could show you targets now. You wouldn't know whether they came from one of those little pressy hole Minotaur at 40 yards or my own. I still got an EV2. You can't get any closer than touching, and that's what it'll do. And those rifles, that pressy hole range, it brings real performance into more hands, and it gives more people the joy of shooting and marksmanship and reward and fulfillment, and it brings them into our sport. They're important guns. The intro range is the most important hardware there is out there.
Yes.
Back to the European Championships now, completely unrelated and out of the blue. He didn't know we were recording this evening, but I had a phone call about 2 hours ago from Mark Camosio saying, is it okay if I do an interview feature with John Choppin? I said, of course, mate. Yeah, absolutely no problem, because John actually won the event, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did. Shot really well. He was in a shoot-off with James Osborne, and he beat him in the shoot-off. So that was pretty nail-biting, I got to be fair. But it's a cruel way to end a competition in two men standing side by side with 300 people standing behind them watching. There's a hell of a lot of pressure when you're doing that, and you still got to bring your A game. You got to.
It's a great way to win.
Exactly. Yeah, you've got to bring your A game to that, like. But then that's what you shoot for. In your mind, you've got to be. That's where you want to be, like, And in fairness, in this event, John won it, like.
Claire must have been pleased to get 1 and 2 with an Air Arms.
Oh, unbelievably chuffed. Yeah, unbelievably chuffed. Yeah, there was quite a few tears and photographs going round and stuff like that. I'm fairly sure there'll be photos on the walls of the office this month, I can tell you. Yeah, she was, well, it worked great for her. She had some of her big guys. There was probably at least, I'd say, I'm guessing, no, I'm not actually. There's definitely at least 6 guys I can think of that were in the top 10, all using Air Arms rifles. So that's with the world of air guns out there you can choose from, these are all high-end equipment. That's a hell of a big thing, to take at least, and that's at least, there may even be more, but at least 6 places in the top 10 were Air Arms rifles, like.
Well, it's been absolutely lovely talking to you, Doz, about the Europeans.
Okay.
Very, very enlightening. Thank you for that, mate. Hang around, though, because I've got a couple of readers' questions. Have you got any readers' questions, Terry?
I've got one. I've got one from a chap who describes himself as a disabled shooter. He would like to know how well accommodated are disabled shooters in outdoor airgun competitions. He can do paper target, no problem, but in outdoor competitions like FT, HFT, bench rest, he's not chair bound, but he has real mobility issues. He wants to know, are there any categories that are sort of disability friendly?
Really good question, that was. This year in the Europeans, we opened it. We have a class called Open Class, which is basically in field target. You have a lot of your shots done in the sitting position. But you have two other categories, which are kneeling and standing, which are designated lanes that you have to shoot them kneeling or standing. Now we also run a class called Open Class, where people that can't stand, the guns are heavy and stuff like that. We just can't do it no more. Just choose not to do it. It's your choice. So we introduced that this year at this European Championships for the rest of Europe to actually see what BFTA are doing with this open class, because people have heard about it but they've never seen it, and they brought. And you're going to love who won this as well. So so basically, a couple of guys come along. We opened it up to them. Unfortunately, because it's not a full event, an acknowledged discipline at the moment, we couldn't name them as European champion or Open European champion. But we obviously they had a trophy and stuff like that. And an old friend of yours, Richard Berger, won it. He's taken up. He doesn't like standing and kneeling anymore. And exactly. So Richard won it. So yeah. So
it's wonderful.
There's still plenty of shooting. So you haven't got to worry about being getting on a little bit, or whatever. Just come along and have a go. It's there for everybody. Like,
I know bench rest is very, very open. In fact, one of our finest bench rest shooters, probably the finest in the country, Matthew Gleaves. He's what would be classed as disabled. So even at club level, we've got bench rest. Obviously, that's all done sitting, but we've got off sticks as well. If you don't like standing unsupported, we've got HFT off sticks, off shooting sticks. So I would say we were, as a sport, I know I bang the drum and I'm massively biased, and I am, but as a sport, I think we're one of the most disability-friendly pastimes you could ever get. I really do.
Yeah.
And if there isn't a situation that suits you, generally we'll make one. We'll get you shooting. We'll get you having a good time somehow or other. We will. So I'm going to write back to my friend. He wrote to me. It was a letter actually. So he's not on the net or anything. And I'm just going to say, come on down. If you're anywhere near Bisley or any club, just come on down and have a go. We'll show you how friendly we are.
Right, I've got to read this question out. Okay, now I'm a lanky git. I'm 6'5" and a bit. Terry's a tall, stout fellow as well. This guy's name, who emailed me, is Simon Short. He says, "Hi Dave, I'm 6'7" tall, and I've got arms like a gibbon. I struggle to find an air rifle that fits me properly. Are there any custom gun makers out there?" Now, my instant thought was Form rifle stocks. I've seen some of their work. I mean, they make custom rifle stocks. But I want to ask you two guys, because you've got a lot more experience than me in this scenario. Who would you recommend this chap approaches to get a gun that fits him properly? Because he's a bit tall, shall we say?
Warren Edwards, would you say, Doz?
Yeah, that was the one I was going to pick. Yeah, what was Warren Edwards, Form? There's quite a few manufacturers out there. If you've got money to spend, there's some real high end equipment out there as well. There's plenty of guys out there that basically, if you want it, somebody can make it for you. That's the beauty of field target, which is what I do and love. It's open. It's a very loose rule book. So if you could think of something that will give you that edge, go and get it built, and somebody will build it for you, and it goes from there. So yeah, there's plenty of custom houses out there that can do anything you want. All you got to do is have deep pockets.
Warren Edwards is the first one that springs to my mind.
Yeah.
Look him up on Facebook. Tell him I sent you. He's a top lad, and he's a very, very clever guy. Great craftsman.
Mm. Yeah. Tilly gun stocks, that's another one. They're quite good. They're exactly the same. If you can think of it, they can build it.
Excellent stuff. Well, that's the kind of advice I wanted to hear from you chaps. Okay, I've got one more question before we wrap this up. This is from a chap called Peter Allen. And it's relevant as well. I'm sure you'll chip in on this. How important is sizing and cleaning your pellets, really, he says. I don't shoot competitions, but I do shoot rabbits and squirrels on my dad's farm. Would pellet preparation help me become a better shot?
Well, look, it's really simple for me, okay? I travel the country, length and breadth of the country in competitions, which costs a lot of money in fuel. So I get in the car, my wife is shouting and screaming at me because I'm not here on Sunday again. Off I go for the weekend. I drive all the way up to Scotland to do a competition, and I miss one target because I put a bad pellet in the gun. So for me, it's important to check everything. I check all the anomalies, check my pellets, I weigh them, I size them, just to make sure I'm taking all those little variables out of it. And when I go to the competition, I'm in the best possible place. But that's for me. Now, when you're saying if you're just plinking shooting tin cans in the garden, maybe you don't need to do that so much. But even when I'm weighing and sizing out of a tin of 500, I'm only discarding 5, maybe 6 pellets. It's not like I'm discarding half the tin. You know what I mean? So, but even that percentage is them 5 pellets could cost me a competition or cost me the season. You know what I mean? So for me, it's worth doing. You know what I'm spending this much time and hours and spending 5 or 6 hours on a Sunday driving up the motorways. It's worth me doing it. I can tell you, and they do make a difference.
Out of interest, Doz, what pellets are you shooting at the moment?
At the moment, it's either JSB's or Airarm's own brand. They're both manufactured pretty much the same, and just depending on which batches group in. I buy batches of pellets. I buy 50 to 100 tins at a time. Whichever batch works really well on my gun, I'll go out and buy as many of them as I can, and then halfway through that batch, I start looking for my next batch. So that's what I just choose the best ones. And every time I'm running out of a batch, I'll try pretty much all the pellets I can get my hands on. So I don't really stick to a brand. I just want the best I can get at that time.
Everybody who takes this sport seriously in that they want to be the best they can be, they need to realise a very fundamental fact of life. Every single thing you invest in the sport, from the cost of your gun, scope, mounts, gun bag, petrol, everything rides on the head of that pellet that costs a penny or whatever it costs. Okay, everything, every single thing. The only way that your dedication and expense is going to be translated to success is on the head of that pellet. Now, if you went through 50 tins and you didn't even find one dodgy one, you've still got 50 tins of pellets that are perfect. You know that. That's in your head. Discount the rogue pellet. Discount that because you've done away with it. I would say, just what Doz said. If you're plinking around in the back garden, that's fine. That's great. If you're shooting at live animals and you're hunting, then you have every much the same commitment as a field target shooter does to get the job done right. In fact, more, I would say. So, sorting, I used to wash mine, lube them, weigh them, do the whole thing. The very least you'll get out of that is total confidence in what you're using. And that's priceless. That is priceless. If you sacrifice all the development of that gun, all the development of it, all the sacrifice you've put in, you sacrifice that because you couldn't be bothered to sort your pellets. No sympathy at all for you on that one. That's down to you. That's one variable you could have controlled among all the others that you can't control. And you passed up the chance to control that massive variable. No, sort them out. If you want to hit what you're aiming at as many times as possible, sort your pellets out in some way or other. Sort them out.
Excellent advice. Right then, chaps. I think we're just about to round this up. Matt and Rich will be back here in a couple of weeks' time. Again, massive thanks to our show sponsor. We couldn't do this without them. If you go to their website, crackshot.uk, you can see what they're all about. They're one of the few companies that will put a gun package together for you, bespoke to you. They do some really good deals. You tell them what you want, what bag you want, what scope you want, what moderator you want, what rifle you want, and they'll put a package together for you. It's well worth checking out their website, seeing what they can do, and obviously heading down to their ranges. That's it from me. That's it from Terry. That's it from Doz. Thank you very much for watching and listening, and we'll see you all again soon.